far up.
This was the Orwell. This is the main river, and we're going to champion that.
Hi, today's video is about the River Rattlesden. I'm just walking to see my neighbour. The river goes through her land, so let's see what she can tell us about the river. She does, yeah. Well, she's part of her.
This is the white one.
If this is your first time on this channel, don't forget to hit this red subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll get notifications of new videos.
Well, Steve and I, my husband and I, have lived here for 23 years, and hugely unexpectedly we've bought this property, which the whole of the southern boundary is the Rattlesden River. We wanted to move here 23 years ago and find about half an acre because we're passionate about being outside. So 23 years on, we've got to know the river and the river valley and absolutely have a strong passion for just protecting it, preserving it and enhancing it. It's lovely. It's a real hidden gem of Stowmarket, and you can tell from my accent I'm not a local. And Steve's from Leicester, but we've just like fallen for this bit of land, and it's huge. It is like a patchwork of different habitats, and absolutely rich in wildlife. It's the kind of river that's up and down with the rain. We are on the floodplain. The land floods from Burford Bridge coming down towards Coombs, and that's what the land should do. Behind us, we've just walked a tiny little bit from Coombs Lane on a public footpath, and behind us there's an ancient wood called Dale's Wood. That's the wood in the distance. The farm land is managed as it was thousands, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And it's truly beautiful. You can walk from this footpath way up towards Buxhall, Great Finborough, over the hills into Coombs. It's just the prettiest little bridge and a pretty public footpath leading towards our property and then on to Beaumont Way. And Steve Williams, who a lot of people will know in Stowmarket, has given us documents which say that this lane had a name in the 1600s of Giles Lane, and we are interested in renaming it. We just want to explore and understand a bit more about the history. And part of me talking to you now is about Stow Stories, which is a project that we want to gather and share information and stand up for Stowmarket. We love living here. So here's the river. It's a meandering little river.
The river is largely hidden as it meanders into Stowmarket, but it's this seclusion that makes it a great habitat for all sorts of wildlife. The river comes into Stowmarket down near the Shepherd and Dog pub, coming underneath Burford Bridge before disappearing again. It then pops up at places like Wash Lane, where you can get a little glimpse, before finally emerging at the other end of Stowmarket and meeting up with the River Gipping before flowing into Ipswich.
And again, from Steve Williams, we've just found out that since there's a map, he shared with us a map from 1783, I think it is, and it says that this river was the main river. People in Stowmarket think it's the Gipping.
Yeah.
But it's the river Orr and Orwell, leading, or the source from Rattlesden, leading into the river Orwell, and the Gipping only became the main river when it became navigable,
right,
much later on.
So this was the Orwell this far
This was the Orwell. This is the main river, and we're going to champion that through gathering and sharing stories about Stowmarket. All along the river that were these tiny little meadows that people worked. in all sorts of different ways. And also, looking to the east, our land, 9.5 acres, abuts the land at Museum, where there's now water meadows, but long ago it used to all be a swamp. And so it makes sense that the main river then was much, much wider, much, much wetter, and was the main river. So that's all very
And
exciting.
is it true they brought the stones for the Abbey in Bury St Edmunds up here?
Well, according to everything I've read and heard,
right.
It is.
Right.
It's the Gipping project.
Oh, right.
And they've got a section in their history about that project, which definitely talks about this being the main river and talks about the stones being brought up the river for the Abbey. And this bridge is renowned by various stories already being told as a place where lovers met. I wonder if anyone was engaged here, you know, or proposed to, where people bring their grandchildren. So people of all ages through many, many generations have remembered the lane and this bridge. And we would love anyone out there to share more of the stories, either through one of the Facebook pages or through your Walks and Wonders, Don, or pop a note through our letterbox. We'd love to have a chat about it. As we walk up Giles Lane to our house, the land on our left-hand side is ours, and it's kind of, we've got a small holding here, so we've opened it. When we first came, you couldn't walk. There wasn't a green.
Right.
It was all brambles, and we were told, we had a lot of expert advice, and we were told that it is good for wildlife to leave things alone, but what it does, if you don't manage it in some way, it limits the species that will live here.
Okay.
So by opening it up, Steve and I for 23 years have loved creating habitats. We've seen some magical encounters with wildlife, but on the left, which I want to explore and have a look at today, we keep it for our team, our little team of animals, so we'll meet the team shortly. But whenever we're managing wood, we always leave these log piles for different kinds of animals to use. And this is where we've had sightings of water vole, otter, kingfishers up and down the river.
Wow.
But the rarest have been the otter encounters and the water vole.
So, otters and water voles in Stowmarket.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. At this time of year, Steve and I are starting to manage the willow along the valley, right through from the golf club and right through into Stowmarket. The land was used as osier beds, which is willow growing, and the basket making factory just where Danecroft Avenue is.
Oh yeah, where it starts.
And after that was the hop growing, and that's right through the valley, hop growing, with all the malt houses in Stowmarket. So the land did bring the prosperity to the town. And there's some fantastic historians who know a lot about Stowmarket, but I think the emphasis of Stow Stories really is about the golden land bringing the prosperity to the town over history, and the interest in all those settlers. We know from the museum that there were Romans, Danes, Saxons, medieval time, and we're walking in those footsteps of time.
That's right.
Which we feel extremely privileged to do. There he is, first team member. This is Fergus the tractor.
Oh right. Okay, I was looking for Steve there.
No, first team member is Fergus the tractor.
Right.
Which has just had just been painted. But Steve, we went to buy a dozen eggs. This is a true story. We went to buy a dozen eggs along the road, and it cost a lot of money, our dozen eggs, because we came away and we'd bought a little tractor. And this tractor's been an absolute joy and huge benefit to us. But here we're cropping the willow, which we've never bought any. It's all from mature willows that we've taken cuttings from, and now we've made ourselves a lot of work done. But when we cut it, we then make what we call these brash hurdles, and I can just show you, so that it's for wildlife. And this area here is all, if we get to see it later in the year, it's an insect garden, a butterfly, a moth, insects, invertebrates, especially for them. And since we've managed it the way we do, we've got now a lot of wildflowers that come through as well.
Really? Ain't got you down here
perfect.
as well.
Yeah.
No, he's doing a bit of video.
Wonderful.
The biodiversity.
I always have thought you'd done well.
I know, but it's important, isn't it, for people's
It is.
health to keep this bit of the
Of course it
valley
is.
green.
That's like your little orchard there with the mistletoe and all that. I love coming down here. And now we've got the permissive par. Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it?
He's got a Suffolk accent. Geordie and Suffolk. It's amazing that we can communicate at all.
Well, I met a lady yesterday.
Right.
She said, they tell me that I should be Suffolk after I've been here 40 years. I said, I'm sorry. You'll never be Suffolk. I don't care how long you've been here, you'll never be Suffolk. That really annoyed her. Take care. Have a good day.
Yeah. See you, Trav.
And I'll come next. If you have jack potatoes, I'll come down.
Okay. But it's a beautiful part of the river here, and that's lovely. It's where we've taken the willow down, and you do that between November and February when the sap's down, and we reuse it now to sort of create these we call them brash hurdles, and then fill them with the wood that you don't really want to keep.
Right.
It's better than burning them. Bit of a joke really, because we never get time to sit down. But we sit here, and from here you've got the most wonderful view of the river, and on this big corner. And actually where the bank is brown now was where the floodwater came to last week. It was right, it filled the river. It was a really pretty part, and we've often seen kingfishers here. Some fish in the river.
So kingfishers on this bit then?
Oh yes, we've seen them right from down. But it's this huge meandering river, and then going up to that western point. And we've got owls. We've got little owl, tawny owl, and barn owl. Nesting here are the tawny owl and the little owl. The barn owl flies through because it likes the open land from the water meadows at the museum, and it likes Tinkler's Meadow, open land at that side, leading on to Northfield Wood. And this is it. It is green, and we need to keep it green. So again, Stow Stories is about gathering and sharing stories to secure a greener future for future generations. But a long time ago, this was we call it Walnut Walk, and a little orchard here. But in the spring, this is our snowdrop walk,
right.
And in the spring it's absolutely stunning, and everything that we're seeing you can see from the public footpath. See our pretty little house, which we were told was a hunting lodge for the villa that is now Westview and Beaumont Way. We're not sure. We need to look back and find out. We don't even know really when it was built. Lots of little additions. And you turn a corner and you would go back to Beaumont Way along Giles Lane. We've come to meet you. So this is Bramble. Bramble's 4 years. He's a beautiful pygmy goat. And this is Ivy. We have them just as pets because they kind of suit the land. Hello, Ivy. Good girl. I don't know where the hens are. They've disappeared. Oh, there they are. What are you doing here? Oh, look at them. They're naughty girls. Oh, you can't go in. They like to lay their eggs, whether they have or not. Are you coming outside? This is Daisy. Daisy is the white one. Rosie is, oh, very good, marching orders. And Topsy, who's losing her feathers, which is perfectly normal, but she looks a bit raggy. They're the 3 girls that lay their eggs for us. And this is Dame Vera, the goose. We did have Lord Collingwood, and she was very aggressive, and we think she she saw the end of the male goose and the other female goose, really, and she definitely attacked a chicken and broke its neck. Yes, just went
So she
lashed
can be a
out.
bit
Jealous over a bit of food. They all fight over food. But otherwise they're great company, and she's quite old, she's got a little bit of a limp, and a male duck, but we still get lovely eggs from the goose. So this area is much more for smallholding, keeping the animals, but having a big pond. We created a big pond which we'll go and walk around. This is the boundary, which is Tinkler's Meadow.
Right.
And this is really, I've got to say, this is the start of wanting to raise awareness and secure a greener future of this whole river valley, right from where it meets the Gipping at Pikes Meadow, all the way up and right through, going westwards towards One House, Harleston, the golf club, Finborough, Buxhall. It's really important that this is preserved as a green corridor for wildlife. It is a special landscape area, designated as such, and it is highly valued by locals. It's also an historic valley because of the association through time with the different settlers that have come through. And they are building, we know new homes are needed. They are building on Union Road and beyond there in One House, so it makes it even more important to keep the heart of the valley, in the heart of Stowmarket, in the heart of Mid-Suffolk, in the heart of Suffolk, green, please. But the river's lovely, and I have watched the water voles, and there was a pair of water voles the summer before this, and this was their corner where they lived. And we've got a resident moorhen who's always making a noise around here. And again, a great spot. This is my river watch there. Oh, there's.
Yeah.
We have egrets. Egrets. But it's a fabulous place because you do get, because the river's so meandering, it's quite tricky to have a real lovely long view of the river. But you get it here, and it's absolutely gorgeous. All times of the year.
Yeah. I'd say I saw a heron down there, the French ones, so they all come. Yeah.
And there's a couple of people who actually live in the same street as you, who are really much more knowledgeable about birds in particular, birds, butterflies and moths. And my eyesight isn't brilliant, so actually, although I'm keen on bird watching, I often, it's difficult with a moth, and you trap them and they're not injured at all, they're not harmed at all, but they stay still, they're nocturnal, so they come to the light overnight, and then in the daytime when you're releasing them, you actually can see them, like from
close up.
It's wonderful. When we first came, the animal, where we keep the animal sheds, they were there. Obviously the house was there. Steve built this extension on the end, but where we're walking now and where you can see all around you was like, it was, because we haven't really cleared that, it was like that, but worse. Worse in that there was so many blackberries, so many that you couldn't walk. So you could not walk from the house to even the little barn.
Right. Was it you and Steve that cleared them all?
Yes, we did it. And they were
huge.
Major work. If you can't even have a walk or open it up for birds or butterflies, and you know butterflies like glades, they like a bit with a long bit at the side. So that's what we've been doing. How can 23 years have gone by? But it has. And so this is so fantastic to see that we have created different habitats. And the wildlife has come in. There's no doubt about it, the wildlife has come in. And in this alder cause where the little owl nests, there's a box just down there. That big beautiful tree over there, they're aspen trees. Those trees have the most beautiful grey fluttering leaves, again in the spring, really, really different. So, and this is another rogue walnut tree, no doubt planted by a squirrel. And we made a log wall, which we made, and we've called it, well, I call it a snakery. It's for small mammals, really, because it's a big log wall. It's a big log wall, and it's very deep. So we know that small mammals, hedgehogs, and snakes. We do have snakes. We love snakes. No adders, thankfully. We've never found a poison snake, but we have grass snakes. And our favourite was called Hissing Sid. It lived in our compost bin, which has now moved. It was big. It was a huge big snake. And actually last year we had a snake came in the alleyway of the house, but it's a barred grass snake, and it curled up very happily in Steve's slipper. So fortunately we saw it come in. Very, very rare for a snake to come to you, but it did. And we released it happily. But this is just a perfect location, and we're just remodelling this. We're remaking, because every now and again obviously the willow just deteriorates, but again it's purely as a wildlife habitat. And so to make a little net, and that's lovely actually, the old where the grasses have died down, what's lovely to do, if you've got any in your garden and they're not prickly, wrap them round your arm like that, and you make a nest. And just put it somewhere. You make this beautiful little nest, and you know that something is going to have the benefit of it. So this is the easiest little things to do.
Thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video.